Hello and welcome. I'm Rossi Sanchez, and this is Mindful Evenings. Mindful Evenings is, in the words of one of my followers, not just another meditation thing. It's a bit of science, emotional intelligence, and a bit of story peppered with my unique sense of humor. Every month, we take a light but deep dive into common behaviors and relationship issues and use the power of focus to tap into who we truly are so we can start understanding, appreciating, and loving ourselves and those around us more and creating the life we came here to live. Thank you for being here tonight, for in awe of who you truly are. The sequence will be as follows. First, I'll tell you a personal story or two, share a bit of science, then wrap up with a very unique guided meditation. To start, I want to invite you to get comfortable and relax. We're going to breathe. If you're seated, place your feet on the floor, roll your shoulders back, let out your belly, place your hands on your lap, facing to the sky, and close your eyes. And let's take 3 deep and satisfying breaths. Breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 8. One more time. In for 4. Out for 8. Again. Nice. I had no idea that my water had broken until I went in for my regular checkup, and the doctor sent me straight to the hospital. Once there, I was given Pitocin to induce labor, and the process started. At one point, I had made great progress. My son's head had seen the artificial light of the hospital room, but then I grew weak and could no longer push. The epidural I was given numbed my body. Eventually, my baby was delivered by C-section. My birthing experience had turned out to be the total opposite of everything I had wanted. A natural birth in a pool with no painkillers. Once the incision of my swollen belly had been sewn and my baby delivered, the nurse put him on my chest. I hugged him, but couldn't feel him. I couldn't feel anything. I was numb from my head to my toes. I wanted to scream, but was too frail to even do that. I just smiled, my heart overflowing with love and gratitude for this beautiful, healthy little being that now laid on my anesthetized chest. It wasn't long after that episode that I began to realize that I wasn't just gaga, head over heels, full of oxytocin, marveling at my creation, but that I was literally in awe of my son. I wasn't just in love with this little human creature, but I revered him. It was as if I felt he knew more than me, that he was wiser somehow, that he was someone to look up to and admire and listen to. I remember thinking at times, what kind of mother are you that you feel this way? Feeling I needed to be superior somehow. I loved him to no end, but more than motherly love, I felt a sense of reverie. Years have passed, and I now understand what I must have sensed and felt then. You see, as children, we come into this world vibrating at very high frequencies, indicative of our true loving nature. We're pure energy, and as such should be the cause of awe and reverie to anyone who is also in touch with their true nature, even in the slightest bit. But it doesn't take long for most of us to get muddied or tarnished as we deal with the world we've come into and how the adults who came before us see it. While well-intentioned in most cases, they have forgotten where they came from themselves and therefore cannot recognize the magnificence of children who, although not knowledgeable of this world, are fresh and new and smell of unconditional love and acceptance. Children soak up every bit of every experience. They are a blank canvas on which every moment is edged and painted, every day filling itself with more wonder and color. The reason they are to be revered and imitated is not so much for what they do, but for how they do it. They observe intently, notice the details, marvel at the details, see, hear, smell, taste, and touch the details. They're open, fearless, and free. They know no boundaries. We don't have to teach children that they can grow up to be anything they want to be. They already know this. We don't have to teach them to love and accept others. They do that by default. It's their true nature. It's our true nature. But as adults, we're the ones that have lost touch with our true nature. We're the ones that keep doing what we're doing, even when what we're doing is not pleasant or fulfilling. We're the ones that keep focusing on something that didn't go right and decide we're never going to amount to much. We're the ones that talk down to ourselves. We're the ones that keep us in our place. And we pass that on to these brand new beings who are soaking in every moment of their tiny little lives. But we can't take all the blame. Most of us are just trying to figure things out ourselves. After all, we're also the product of those who came before us and how they saw things and experienced life. The truth is, we all come into this world neurologically disadvantaged, if you will. In his book, Neurodharma, Dr. Rick Hanson explains that even before we see the harsh artificial light of a hospital room, the amygdala, the activator of our fight or flight response, and our trigger for stress and fear are fully formed in our tiny little ancient brains. This primes us for survival from the get-go, alerting us to any dangers that may be lurking nearby. It's as if we're a baby radar. The hippocampus, on the other hand, that part of the brain that provides episodic memories, contextual memory, what actually happened and why, does not form until we're about 3. If you think about it, that's a very long time that for us as children, we spend experiencing fear and stress due to the activation of the amygdala without knowing exactly why, without having any context. From a very early age, unexplained distress gets recorded in our psyche. That is why so many of us walk around with deep emotional wounds, beliefs that define us, which could be extremely difficult to work through because there's no what, when, and why. There's just a deeply rooted, unidentified fear that was felt before we could identify it, much less express it. Right before my son turned 4, I took a job in another city and left him with his father and my mother for about 3 months while I settled down, found a home, a school. Yes, he was little, but he had been in Montessori school since he was 2.5, and I wanted him to continue on that path. My strategy made sense to me at the time, but had I known then what I know now, I wouldn't have done it. My son recalls these months as having been abandoned by me. And although we spoke on the phone every day and I explained the situation to him at length, I now understand that there was no way I could have explained it to him that he would have understood it. He just felt the fear of being left alone, perhaps of rejection or not being loved by me. Ironically, his father suffered a similar experience when he was just a few years old. His mother went on a retreat for the weekend. He claims to this day that she left him and was gone for months. According to Hanson, the feelings, sensations, and longings in our younger experience were internalized into implicit memory stores, but disconnected from explicit recollections of the situations in which they occurred. Today, this buried material lives on, and it can be reactivated by the type of cues that were also present way back when, such as feeling unheard, unseen, or uncared for. While mindfulness and meditation may help to soothe this long-term suffering, Hanson goes on to say that it is important to uncover and reveal this deeply rooted pain before you can truly heal. This may call for special kinds of psychotherapies and self-help practices, which he lists in his book, and which I encourage you to seek if you're suffering from this. For now, what we can all do to start the path back to our authentic selves is to take up some of these behaviors that we used to do as a child. Observe rather than do. Look at every moment as your last one. See, hear, smell, taste, and touch it. As you begin to do this, you'll start to reconnect with that unconditional love that is at the core of who you are, what we're all made of. And once you reconnect, even if only for seconds at a time, you'll start to trust yourself and take risks. You'll start to shed your fears. You'll start to feel good about who you are and the life you lead as it is and as you are, while starting to change that which no longer serves you. You'll begin to open up to new experiences, people and things. You'll start seeing opportunities arise where you couldn't see them before. And the more you do this, the more confident you'll become, and the more you'll know no boundaries. The more you do this, the more you'll remember where you came from and what you came here to do. And the more you'll realize that you can do anything at any age and under any circumstances as long as you're in touch with you. While this may sound like pie in the sky, it's not. The process back is a simple one, although it may not be easy. It requires intention. You have to want to do it and do it often. After a while, like any habit, you will have wedged the pathway in your brain, and it will have become something you want to do because it feels amazing. The process back to you is through mindfulness, a practice that involves intentionally paying attention to what's happening in the moment without judging it or yourself. It can be done at any time of the day or night and can be quite liberating without even realizing it. To try it out, next time you sit down to a meal, just eat. Do nothing else but eat. Stop. Look at your plate, your food. Take in the colors and textures. Smell your food. Maybe even listen to your food. Take small bites and truly taste your food. That's all. Next time you're walking, maybe to your car or around the block, just walk. Do nothing else but walk. Feel how your body orchestrates every movement. One foot in front, shift of the hip, foot kicks back, the other foot comes forward, etc., etc. Count your steps. That's all. Next time someone is talking to you, just listen. Don't think of a rebuttal or something you want to share or advice you want to give. Just listen. See how that feels. That's mindfulness. And it can be incorporated into any part of your day or anything you're doing. Now I'd like to take you back to the beginning, to a time you most likely have no memory of, but that can be imagined or captured through meditation. Whether you're seated or lying down, get comfortable. If seated, place your feet on the floor, roll your shoulders back, place your hands on your lap, open to the sky, and let your belly come out to play. Close your eyes and take 3 deep and satisfying breaths. And allow your body to fully relax as you do so. Breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe out slowly and softly for a count of 8. Let's do that again. Breathe in for 4. Big belly out. Breathe out for 8. Feel your ribs on the way in. One more time. Now start to breathe normally again and just observe how your belly rises and falls without forcing it. If any thoughts, sounds, or sensations arise, acknowledge them for what they are, thoughts, sounds, and sensations, and let them pass. And get back to your body breathing. You're going to take a walk back in time. Fast rewind to 10 years ago. Who were you? Where were you? And what were you doing? Now go back 20 years and ask yourself the same questions. 30. Go all the way back to when you were 5. Can you remember yourself at 3? Keep rewinding to when you were a toddler, an infant. Even if you have no memories of this, you can imagine. Rewind even further. Imagine yourself as a fetus in your mother's womb, that capsule that sheltered you for 9 months or so, and where you floated in a pool of warm water, feeling safe and protected. Find that feeling and stay with it. float and delight in just being. Nothing for you to do but float. Imagine that while in your mother's womb, you open your eyes and suddenly see water everywhere. You're floating in the ocean. You're no longer attached to your mother, but you still feel safe and protected. The ocean is warm and embracing, and you're completely free. Don't worry if you don't know how to swim. There's no need to do that. There's no need to do anything. You're just floating naturally. The sun illuminating your face. You're completely at ease and blissful. Now imagine that you start to feel very light. You look around, but no longer see your body. Your body is now the ocean. You have become water. Molecules of H2O that ebb and flow with the tide. How does it feel to be water? Wet, powerful, cold, hot, tranquil, energetic? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a feeling stemming from your imagination. It can be anything you want it to be. Now imagine that as water, you land on the shore. This time, you didn't make it back to the ocean with the rest of the waves. You've been absorbed by the sand. You've become part of the sand community. Millions upon millions of tiny specks of quartz. How does it feel to be sand? Are you pressed together with a myriad other specks, or are you being kicked into the air by the wind, experiencing the exhilaration of free falling? Again, no right or wrong answer. It's just a feeling stemming from your imagination. It can be anything you want it to be. Now imagine that a tiny hermit crab, making its way backwards on the shore, scoops you up one of its claws, and suddenly you're off with the crab. You enjoy the movement, so you penetrate its hard shell structure and essentially become the crab. How does it feel to be a crab? Do you know that you're walking backwards? Or is that just the way it is for you? How does the world look now that your eyes have a 360 perspective? Again, this is your story. Just imagine it and feel. Now notice that a bright ray of sun is shining directly on your tiny little crab head. You're excited by the light and the heat that it produces, and you decide you want to become the sun. No longer a speck of sand or a wandering hermit crab. You are now a magnificent, bright star looking down on the sand and the ocean from a place of great height. How does it feel to be the sun? It's your time to set. And as you do, the moon blows a big kiss your way from across the sky. You follow the path of the kiss and embrace the moon. You become the moon. How does that change feel? Do you feel a change in temperature? And what about your light? Does it shine the same as the sun's? Or is there a different quality to your light? How does it feel to be the moon? And as you are experiencing being the moon, suddenly you feel a pull from above. You've been summoned by the sky. It has been watching your transition and wants to put you in charge. You become the sky. How does it feel to house the different planets and constellations and have a complete view of it all? How does it feel to be the sky? Now imagine yourself with an even greater perspective. You've been promoted. You are now the universe, encompassing absolutely everything that exists. How does it feel to be the universe? Now, slowly, you're going to start making the journey back to the you that you are today. For the next minute, you're going to go from being the universe to being the sky, the moon, the sun, the hermit crab, the speck of sand, the ocean water, the fetus in your mother's womb, the infant, toddler, the 3-year-old, the 5-year-old, 15, 25. Count forwards until you get to the you that is here today. With your eyes still closed, come back to your body and picture yourself seated in front of a blank canvas with a wide array of paints and brushes at your ready. You're going to paint a portrait of yourself. Which you will you paint? The you staring in the mirror this morning? The you from 10 years ago? The you as a child? Or the you as the sun or sky? You are all of these. It's just a matter of imagining and feeling. Take a minute to paint your portrait. With your eyes still closed, remember that you can paint as many canvases as you'd like, as many canvases as you are. After all, you are your own creation. Start moving your body slightly. Stretch. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you for joining me tonight to explore our true essence and the reason why we should be not just in awe of our children, but in awe of ourselves. We are infinite potential. We are magnificent beings. We are worthy of loving ourselves unconditionally. And once we do, watch out, others will follow. By the way, if you enjoy these programs, I ask that you please share them with anyone who may benefit from them, and like and subscribe to my Mindful Evenings YouTube channel, as well as to my website, rossisanchez.com. For now, I'm Rossi Sanchez, and this is Mindful Evenings. Good night.